welcome back for the afternoon special Oasis for the full moon meditation. I'm going to give it a minute while you guys come in and join me, those of you who want to. Today we're going to do a little experiment. We're going to attempt to verbally record me and see how that goes and see if it will be a good enough recording for us to start a little meditation collection built around the full moon, the new moon, and a waxing and waning gibbous moon. So we'll see how that flows. This is a possible creation birthing moment. Hi, Shauna. Nice to see you. So because we're going to be doing it this way, I'm not going to be responding as much to comments once we get started. So right now is the time. If you have any questions or anything that you want to say before and get a response from me, this is your time to do so. I was going to tell you guys just a little bit, since what we're doing for our meditation is creating something that's a little bit more generic that can be used on any moon ceremony rather than only on this particular moon, which is a full moon in Scorpio. And the cool thing about the full moon being in Scorpio right now is actually that the Scorpio energy, it's an amplification of what the full moon itself already is doing, creating that expansion and contraction energy, really helping us to look more within and open up more without. I sound far away to you. Wow, that's interesting. Let me see if I can do anything about that with this. I can move this a little bit. Let me check. It should be just the same as it was this morning. How's that sound? Does that sound any better? Let me know. So yeah, I wanted to just tell you guys a quick little story about what Scorpio means to me. Interesting that I sound distant on that. Well, let me think. I guess what I could do is plug in a mic and headphone set like we did before, and that shouldn't interfere with the other recording equipment that's right down there. Let me get that out. Just do a little headset mic. So thank you for helping me, you guys, getting this all together. I sound normal to you. Interesting. Okay, you guys are going to be all wonky all over the place. Gonna have to give me a second. How scary it looks like. See? There you go. You guys get a little view of my desk. This is my desk. Okay. Let me put my headphones in. This is what's so fun about doing it this way. We can just make it work. Okay. So, yeah, I was going to tell you guys a little story about how what scorpions mean to me, and how they impact me energetically. So when I was a kid, we moved to New Mexico, and I was probably in the 3rd grade. Yeah, I was midway through my 3rd grade year. And there are so many things in New Mexico that do not exist in other parts of the world, other parts of the country at least. It's a desert, and it's a high desert, and it's right on that boundary between the river, where it's lots of moisture, lots of bugs, lots of things, and the desert where there's not much moisture. So we had all kinds of bugs that lived there and were traveling all around, and one of them was scorpions. And the scorpions that we had were these tiny little guys that were lethal, like they had intense toxin in them. And the bigger scorpions are actually not very lethal at all. So really, you had to start to shift your thinking around that the little guys that you think, oh, it's just a little guy. You had to be really careful about those. Had to check your shoes all the time. Be aware of where you were sitting down. Be aware when you had something laying down before getting on it and sitting down on it. You had to always be looking, being really present. So that Scorpio energy and Scorpion energy to me is about being really present, being really aware. This is a being that can either make you or break you, right? Make you hyper aware and alert and there in that moment, or they can take you into a whole place where you do not want to go. And so they also have that energy as well about delivering you into spaces of yourself that you may not necessarily get to without that stimulus. So that to me is what Scorpio energy is really all about. I did a little bit of research and found that it's pretty similar when you look at it from a metaphysical perspective. The contraction and expansion and the necessity of that expansion and contraction, where you want to allow for the energy to push and to pull and to push and to pull, because that's how we accomplish movement. That's how we get energy. That's how pistons work in our engines. That's how the tide breaks down the shore, creating more room for the ocean to flow in. So this is the system, expansion and contraction. And it's also Beltane. So it's a full moon in Scorpio, an amplification of the full moon energies, as well as it being a Beltane full moon night as well. Beltane is that time of sowing of the fields, right? Bringing our intention to what we want to grow. How do we want to evolve our next year? What do we want to plant? What do we want to give seed to, right? And that's why they would go and make love in the fields, to give that passion, that energy, that drive to create something new, to give life to something. My son's name, Svas, is actually a Sanskrit word meaning to give the breath that gives life to something. So those are kind of the energies that I want you guys to be holding through this particular moon meditation. But it's true of all the full moon meditations as well. So I wanted to just throw those things out there before we get into the more generic moon work. And as always, I always try to think of things that will help support you guys even more, ways that you can bring energy into yourself. So selenite is a great tool for full moon work or for any kind of moon energy work. Selena is the goddess of the moon, and it's got this effect of reflective glowing. It's a salt crystal, so very connected into the oceans, which are most impacted, the waters, by that moon's pull. So I love selenite and apophyllite. Apophyllite is one of those stones for me that just really takes my frequency up into that celestial realm where I can really let go of the ideas and beliefs that keep me rigidly in place and start to allow the frequencies to flow me a little higher. So apophyllite I recommend. I want to show you guys this cluster of apophyllite as I come in. Look at... what do you see on the bottom there? Do you guys see it? Pretty cool, isn't it? The eye, my apophyllite eye. Sometimes when I'm meditating, I hold this eye right over my third eye. Very powerful experience. One other stone, and I'm trying to give you guys ideas of stones that aren't necessarily the standard. You can always, of course, use moonstone. That's a great one as well. Rainbow moonstone, I love it. But this is called a snakeskin agate. This is another great one to use at the full moon time. And the snakeskin agate it's exactly what you'd think, right? It's the shedding of the layers of the identity of the self. And that's what it is to come into unity consciousness, is how do I stop believing myself to be different and separate from and less than in any way or greater than, depending on your lesson set. So the snakeskin agate has that energy of release and clear and coming to what is beneath it, what's under this skin that you've been shedding off and hiding yourself behind. So these are some of the stone energies that I'm going to show you guys and offer to you to tune into and open yourself up to these frequencies. Selenite, apophyllite, and apophyllite also comes in a single point. This is an apophyllite cluster, and snakeskin agate. Okay, so that said, we will go ahead and start to shift into the moon meditation. So with the full moon, the most important thing to remember is, what is the full moon actually doing, and why is it impacting us in the way that it does? Well, we have the sun on one side of us, and then we have the moon on the opposite side. So the entire light of the sun is being reflected back at us on the moon, from the moon. That means that we're getting photons from two separate sides coming towards us. It's a lightning from both sides. Now, if you've ever stood in a dark room and you turn on one light, you're going to see a shadow cast on the other side of you, what's being blocked by the light shining. But if you shine a light from the other side of you as well, now your shadow disappears and all that's left is you, because you're being hit on both sides by this moonlight and this sunlight energy. The same thing is happening at this point in the full moon. So for people who are comfortable seeing themselves from all these different perspectives, tend to have this energy really amplify them and bring them up more. They get more creative, more passionate. Things happen. They want to do stuff. They want to get out. Right? They're more driven during this time. However, if you're somebody who does not feel comfortable, has not gotten yet comfortable in that system of total nakedness, total transparency, then the full moon is going to bring up the behaviors, the thought patterns, the memories that are more central around hiding, because now it feels very exposed. So then you'll find yourself having an amplification in anxiety or in phobic disorders. You'll find yourself struggling more with getting motivated to do things that you want to do, getting things in alignment. And remember, these are two extremes that I'm illustrating here. There's the whole gamut in between. I've yet to meet anyone who's totally comfortable being exposed or that can't be seen at all. So it's not about one is better than the other. It's just where you're at in that spectrum of things. And remember, we all are serving each other in this greater game, right? In this greater system. So there's no better or worse than place to be. So recognize that as you approach the full moon, if you're starting to approach the full moon with a sense of anxiety or fear, then stop, pause, ground yourself deeply. Take that time to connect and open up and see if you can't find what part of yourself or what belief is being triggered. Which one is coming to the surface as an opportunity to be shed away. And if that's what's happening for you, the snakeskin agate is going to be perfect support for that. Any quartzes are going to be good for that. Any agates will be good for that as well, because agates are a layering stone. The snakeskin agate in particular helps us to shed away beliefs that define us. So we are right now, this is the full moon time right now. Let's go ahead and take a deep breath as we begin to prepare ourselves to drop into this meditation space, breathing in this present moment, and exhaling and releasing. Breathing in this present moment, present awareness, and releasing. Feeling how already your roots are down in the earth, having already practiced your morning grounding meditation. Feel those roots strengthening and coming more aware as you send your intention and focus down into Gaia. Opening and expanding that root system even more. And inviting Gaia to come up and in, just like the tide comes in, washing up through the vessel, and ebbing out, pulling away all the debris, just like the ocean scrubs the shore. Breathing in, drawing that ocean up a little higher, as it reaches further up your beach and out. Breathing in, drawing in that Gaia energy as the wave comes all the way up to the chest and releases. Breathing in, allowing that water to come all the way up into the throat and releasing. Breathing in, feeling that Gaia's energy in the oceans coming all the way up and washing right over the top of you. And as you release, it just flushes down. Really feeling that cleansed and grounded state. And feel as you're breathing in that light that's shining down on your crown as the crown opens and receives this light of source coming from all directions, from the day and from the night, from the past, from the future, all coming into this present fully illuminated space where the moon's pull is at its greatest, it's shining at its highest. Just allow that light to come down through the head, down through the throat, down through the chest and the heart, and down through that stomach and solar plex, and down all the way down through that sacral, and down through the roots. Sending that energy all the way down. Sending that energy down into Gaia, allowing it to spread wider and deeper. As you stand in this moment, in this space, as that conduit connecting Gaia and Source, well, the light of the sun and the light of the moon are shining on you. Now I want you to imagine that you're standing on the shoreline of a great big ocean. You can hear the waves matching with your breath. You can feel the breeze of the sun, heat moving across the top of the ocean, whispering through your hair, whispering past your body. You can feel the sand in your under your toes. Feel the sand beneath your feet. And I want you to just take note of this self that you've identified as and come to believe yourself to be. Just imagine you're looking at yourself standing there, as well as feeling like you are there. Have that dual perspective of both the observer and the experiencer in this moment. Just like we have the light from the sun and the light from the moon, let's allow ourselves to view ourselves from within as well as without. In this moment, in this place. And as you sit in this space of observation from within as well as from without, I want you to begin to play through your head the ideas that are the most confining, that hold you down and hold you in place, that prevent you from running forward and enjoying that surf, from playing in that ocean, from being willing to dive in. Are they fears? Are they discomforts? What is it that holds you back from moving forward and really exploring your creation, embodying you to be empowered in your creation? What is it that prevents you? And as these beliefs and ideas start to come to the surface, I want you to switch between the perspective of the internal space, the internal space where we have so much judgment and so much misconstrued belief about ourselves that keeps us thinking that others view us this way. So, in this moment, if that's where you are, allow yourself to be one of the other selves. How do those other selves actually view you? How do they interact with you and see you? How do they value you and thank you? What kind of compliments do they deliver to you? What sort of need do they have of you? What draws them to you? If you're one that isolates and doesn't have many other selves around, why have you rejected the other selves? What is it that's blocking you? Why do you feel unsafe with the other selves? What do you believe, or what does that other believe about the self? We're playing with perspectives as we play with the contraction and expansion of the internal and the external, using the energy of the full moon to expand and contract, just like the tide and the ocean moves and pulls back. Just allow yourself to observe these various ideas and beliefs and perspectives that are revealing themselves. We're not trying to fix anything. We're only trying to observe, to witness, and to allow. Feel how as you're standing there, reviewing these beliefs, these rigid things that are holding you back, notice how the tide is beginning to come more up the body. Feel it coming not just to the toes, but running up over the ankles and playing with you. And that tide is playing with you. Feel the energy moving around you, inviting more from you to come forward as we witness ourselves more clearly in this full light of the moon and the sun. And I want you to imagine that as you witness these various holding beliefs or layers of fear, maybe I think I'm ugly, or I think I can't be seen this way, or I have to look a certain way, or feel a certain way, or present a certain way before I can be welcomed in. Whatever these rigid beliefs or ideas are, imagine that as that tide is coming up to you, it's just melting away all that keeps them hard, keeps the fear in place. And as the tide pulls back, it's pulling those skins off, just helping you shed and release. Breathing in, drawing in that tidal energy, and releasing even more. As you begin to think about all the things you want to do during this next year, all the seeds that you want to start planting to harvest, begin to think of those seeds as you release more of this rigidity and fear, and notice new fears have come up, new blocks. Just observe them as you begin to look at the seeds with which you want to plant your new cycle with. Feeling that ever steady presence and support of the ocean. As you're looking at all of these different seeds, begin to see which ones seem to be glowing, which ones seem to be growing all on their own, being pulled up out of their shell, the husks opening. Which seeds feel the most vibrant in this fertile energy and soil that you're growing right now? Take note if you have any ideas or beliefs forming of what you should be doing, what others expect from you to be doing and planting in this time. Are these your seeds, or are these seeds handed to you by others? Release, just like you're dropping into the ocean, those seeds that are handed to you by others that do not feel authentically yours. Go ahead and allow them to slip through your fingers and be carried away by the ocean to more fertile shores. This is not a rejection, it's an allowance that this is not mine. I can't make something grow that's not mine. And let those go, washing away. And again, take count of the seeds that you do have that are authentically yours. When you look at one, which ones stir excitement within you? Is it building that program? Is it moving? Is it a new job? Is it a new relationship? Is it a new project, a new craft, a new instrument? What are the seeds that you want to plant as you move forward? Now I want you to begin to start to take note of your heart space. Your heart space is where we project our energy forward. This is our sun in our world, in our creation. This is our sun. Even though our solar plex is thought to be the sun, it's really our heart space that where we send our energy out. We project our energy not only into the distant space in front of us, but also in time. We can sense and receive from future with our heart space. See this as your field, your fertile grounds with which you're going to plant these seeds. Feel that heart space opening as you like till through the soil, really opening and preparing this heart space to receive these seeds. Opening that heart space, if you want to use your hands to move as though you're opening this space, as you're tilling and unearthing and opening things up. Really till the soil in that heart space, taking note of any ideas or beliefs that pop up just like a rock. Oh, I didn't think I was good enough to do that seeding. I'm going to put that rock somewhere else. I'm going to drop it into the ocean so it can be a pebble smoothed by the waters. See if there are any other stones that are popping up to the surface as you prepare your soil. Oh, I didn't think I was good enough to do this. I didn't think that anyone would want to hear what I had to share in playing my music. What are the stones that you are having come up to the surface as we prepare our soil? And just drop those stones into the ocean at your feet. And now I want you to imagine that you're taking these seeds that you have selected from your ideas, your dreams, your hopes, your aspirations, and plant them in your heart space. Plant them in your soil. Cover them over. Let the waters of Gaia sow the seeds more deeply, giving them the water they need. And see how off in the distance, rising up over that horizon line in the ocean, is the full moon. With all of her light pulling and shining, beckoning the seeds to open inside of your heart and grow these dreams, these projects, these gifts to the creation. Let them grow and be called forward up and out of your heart. See these plants continuing to grow until they're developing little flowers. And the flowers are turning into fruits of your labor. Visualize those fruits swelling and ripening in this full moon energy. So full of magic and power. Allow that plant to grow until the fruit is just right. And harvest one piece of fruit from each of the plants that you've grown and eat it. Imagine that you're eating that fruit. This is what's sustaining you, serving you, feeding you to move forward, to grow more, giving you more seeds to grow more. Use this full moon energy to allow yourself to grow forward. Go ahead and stay in this space for as long as you like. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you again soon.